Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Streamed and Screened, an entertainment podcast about movies and TV from Lee Enterprises. I'm Terry Lipshetz, managing editor of the National Newsroom at Lee and co-host of the program with Bruce Miller, a longtime entertainment reporter and the former editor of the Sioux City Journal, who is now enjoying retirement with nothing to do.
Kicking back, doing nothing but watching movies. And if you believe this crap, I'll tell you a whole bunch more. Retirement is not what you think it is, and it is not freedom. I feel more burdened now than I ever did, but it does give me time to kind of focus on entertainment, which is cool.
Yeah.
But you know how that goes. And this week has been a bumper crop of interviews. I had one where, I kid you not, the ring light fell on me. Now, a ring light falling on you, I'm already hurt. I don't need to be hurt anymore. But
No,
I think what I do need to do is repaint the wall where it fell. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, a lot of things are going on. Can I just highlight a couple of ones for you?
absolutely.
This week, Ken Burns is coming out with his American Revolution documentary. It's 12 parts on PBS. And 6 days. It looks at the American Revolution, and what you'll find when you watch this is it's not the story that you learned maybe when you were in grade school. There's much more to it than that. And as he likes to say, it was very violent. It was a violent war. It was a lot going on that we had no concept of. And what helped is that they looked at this over 10 years. And in that 10 years, a lot of scholarship had been done where people were writing about the revolution. And so you see things like a different George Washington. You find, a lot of those myths that we grew up with, not true. And what they were not looking for being this independent country or anything. There were other things that they were interested in. But it's a huge undertaking, has a lot of voices, Tom Hanks, you name it, beyond that. Peter Coyote is the narrator, as all of them are, that Ken Burns does.
Sure.
But it's a lot to look at. And I think it's one of those things where you can just kind of absorb yourself into this history lesson. And he's done a great job. He has 2 co-directors, so you can see where he's kind of passing the torch on to others. But you see the Ken Burns kind of look at all of this stuff. And then movie-wise, there are big movies coming out this weekend, but I want you to pay attention to next week, because if you really want to go and finish off Wicked, you got to start thinking about getting those tickets now, because it's going to be a huge deal for those who want to see Wicked Part 2 or Wicked for Good. I had a chance to talk to the stars, and it's bittersweet for them because this is the end of this whole thing. They filmed the whole works at once. So it'd be like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they would do part 1, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they do part 2. So they were kind of living in both parts at all times. Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo were really thrilled that they got songs written just for them for the second part. So they each have their own song, and they felt very special about that. But the thing that people are talking about, and I must honestly admit, I have not seen the movie yet, but at the end of the second one, they sing For Good. And they say if you don't leave the movie theater crying, boy, it didn't hit. And it from those who have seen it, it's so emotional. I think you will. So be ready for it. But it's a darker look at that world than the first one was. It's all not just jumping around in the library and going to the Ozdas ballroom or anything like that. It's much, much more in terms of kind of getting into the emotional things and relationships. And what really matters in our life isn't necessarily somebody who pretends to be your friend, but somebody who is really there for you at those times when you need them the most. So it'll be interesting to see. Are you ready for it?
I am. So, I mean, I remember we talked about this. We went as a family to see the Broadway version of it, the traveling Broadway version over the summer. And the kids liked it. I liked it. It was my second time seeing the Broadway production. I saw it years ago. I really honestly I forgot so much about it. It was like seeing it again. But it did remind me that when the acts changed, when it went from act 1 to act 2, act 1 pretty much lined up with where the movie ended for the most part,
Right.
the first version. And then, they move on to act 2, which I presume is more of what the second film is about. And the one thing that it hit me, and my wife mentioned this too, is the musical was good, but the first act of the musical is so much better than the second act, at least in our opinion. I really enjoyed the first act a lot more. I felt like the second act was a little bit, I don't know, it just wasn't as fun
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. Well,
And so
and
I'm a
that
little worried about the movie from that
well,
perspective.
they had more time to tweak it, so
Right.
there's that, and adding 2 songs, that could be a
Sure.
difference. They also have all those Oz characters from The Wizard of Oz. They're
Right.
in there somewhere. Um, I don't wanna spill anything, but,
Yeah.
they are characters, and you will see them.
Correct.
I know that Dorothy, you don't see face on, so it's not like, "Oh my god, is Judy Garland in this thing?" No, it's not like that. But,
Right.
they do become characters in the second part.
Right. Anyone that's seen the musical, like again, we don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but the characters like the Cowardly Lion, the Tin Man, these are characters that do find their way into Wicked, the Broadway production. So presumably they were going to make their way into the films as well.
Right. What's interesting is there are so many more books, um, that Gregory Maguire has written about
Hmm.
these characters that easily they could be doing more musicals and more movies and whatever.
Sure.
Somebody has optioned them. Somebody has the
Yeah.
rights to these things. So, I don't think we're out of this world just because this movie is coming. But come on, everybody's talking about it. I hear
Right.
already it's a done deal that it'll be nominated for Best Picture. So you
Wow.
got to see it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean we absolutely will go see it. Whether we see it, opening weekend or we wait until like Thanksgiving or Black Friday to check it out. I'm not sure because it's going to be out in theaters for a while.
Yeah. I think for good.
Yeah.
Um, we're gonna see this thing for a long time, and it could be one of those ones too that during the Christmas holidays, you'll say, "Oh, well, let's go to the movies," and
Yeah.
that would be a good one to go to just,
Right.
because I think we're all on the same page when you deal with it, but it'll be interesting
Yeah.
to see how it squares out, and there are Bach we hardly saw in the first one, and
Hmm.
he's a big character in the second one. Nessa, the sister of Alphaba,
Right.
is big in this one, and then Fiyero gets a big number, so what the
Hmm.
heck? It should be good
Sure.
for the other characters to get their moment, even though we saw enough from the 2
Yeah.
stars.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Looking forward to it. Didn't love the first movie, but I didn't hate it either. It just didn't quite meet
Yeah.
my expectations. I had high hopes for it. It fell a little bit short for me, but still thrilled to go and see it. I know the rest of the family's looking forward to it, so definitely high on the list of things to see. What else do you have for us, Bruce?
Alright, well, have you been watching Murdaugh?
I have it on my to watch list on Hulu, so I have not yet hit play, but
This
it's
thing,
up next. Yeah.
it's in if you look at the comments for anybody who talks about it, people are it's really divided. They either really
Hmm.
hate it or they really love it or whatever. But, I had a chance to talk to Jason Clarke, who plays Alec, the guy who's accused of or convicted of murdering, his wife and his son, and,
Yes.
he talks all about how he put it together, which I find very fascinating. And it isn't just another role for him, even though he's been real life characters in other films. This one, because the news is happening all the time, kind of gives it a different varnish to the whole thing. So, here, if I can, do you mind if we run an interview that I had with Jason Clarke about Murdoch?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Life is unpredictable, but preparing for the unexpected shouldn't be. Take ownership of your life planning with Policy Genius to help your loved ones have a financial safety net in case something happens to you. They offer life insurance policies starting at just $276 a year for $1 million in coverage. Don't wait for life to make other plans. Protect your family today. Head to PolicyGenius.com. That's PolicyGenius.com.
All right, tell me, you have played so many real people in life. What is the process for doing that? Do you study them? What do you do?
Yeah, study them a lot. You gather everything you can. You get all the video footage you can. Usually, production will have somebody that pulls stuff that's not on the web or very hard to get, from maybe the local people or the community that have videos they can send you to give it. Because there's all the trial stuff in this where you see him and he's skinnier and his voice has changed and he's off the drugs. And then there's the stuff of, most of the story is set pre that, where he's very bloated. He's full of, he's almost constipated. You know what I mean? He's
Right.
full of drugs and all these things that, so his voice would be, there's one video in particular I found where he was very heavy and bloated and his voice is just a little bit higher. You know what I mean? It's just up there a little more, because when the trial he gets down there a little bit lower and so there's all these things you try and put it together. This is like I'd take photos and go, okay, that's a photo of him on a boat drinking with some bikini girls with his kids and all that. There has to be a place in here that I can put that image or that feeling in one of these other scenes, So I'd have a whole collage of stuff. I thought, this is who this man is. We've got a few scenes that we're going to recreate exactly to show I would do him as, verbatim as much as I can. But let's make sure that matches also the stuff that we're making up in some kind of connective tissue
Do
way.
you like playing real people, or is that
I guess I do because I've played a few of them. I like real life stories. Everest, Rob Hall at the top of the mountain, Ted Kennedy the night of, Chappaquiddick. This one, there's something about them. There's something that forces you to work hard as an actor, because if you don't get in the ballpark, it's laughable and it's a crime to even just do it without the effort. So there's something that forces me to engage, body, movement, text, all those things that I learned in drama school and focus them in. At the same point, it's very stressful, they all have an opinion and they all have a right to an opinion, and the broader community has an opinion too, because there's so much out there and they can say. So you've got to kind of expect it and inoculate yourself and also accept it.
do you have to side with the person at some point when
Yes,
yeah.
I think it's really important to. I love Bruno Gantz's Hitler in Downfall. You know what I mean? You talk about playing one of the most monstrous figures, in the last hundreds of years, and you go, but yet he made him human, and he made that last week in the bunker really. And so you have to. I mean, I remember listening to this. You can listen to this trial. I listened to it a lot more than watching it, and you can hear that. Oh my God, he got a bit of this. There's some mistakes in this trial, in my opinion. There's no gun. There's no whatever. They got him on a RICO, maybe. So I can talk myself into I'm an innocent man, which helps me in terms of building up that wall of deniability that he has and that he still has. He built a
when
wall.
when things are like still happening, does that
Yeah.
change what you do when you do it? Or, when you're filming this and then you're seeing stuff on the news, how do
Yeah.
you react to that?
I can give you an example that I remember we were shooting one night and somebody sent me a video of some footage that a prisoner had got out of prison on one of their platforms they're using. It was a video of him and there was some threats against him. And I just thought, and it was late at night. I might be in the car or I just gotten home. I thought, Jesus Christ, imagine if he dies. Imagine if he dies, what, because people know that we're making a series about him? So it does affect you, to answer that. It affects you in strange ways, and that's the reality of a living situation. He came out and he said some stuff the other day and his lawyers did, and you go, it's to be expected. He's got a right to. Of course he's going to. It's like, that's right. He's in jail and he's alive. And you try and prepare yourself for that, Bruce, you do. But there's no bulletproof system. It is what it is,
Well, I think your system works, so keep on doing it, right?
I guess so. I mean, I guess so. You do, it's addictive. He was fun to play as well as exhausting, because most of the time he's a fun guy. The judge in sentencing him for the financial crimes said, I saw you 2 weeks after the death of Maggie and Paul at the lawyers' conference, and you were the life of the party. I've known you for 20 years. And yet I've been through all of this. I know what you've really done, but I still don't feel like I know you. He was a fun person to play, but he was very exhausting. And I was happy to close the book on it as well.
Well, thank you so much. I sure appreciate it. And
Thank you very much
congratulations
for
on
your
a job well
questions.
done.
Thank you, mate. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bruce, for that interview. First off, you kind of forget that he's Australian. I mean, when you hear
Right.
the interview and he's talking just in his normal everyday self, you're like, oh, wait a second. So, but he's one of those actors that just, as soon as you sent me the clip and I saw who it was, I'm like, I know who this guy is because he's in everything. I mean,
Yeah.
he's such a tremendous character actor. And it's nice to see him get a little bit of a lead role because we saw him recently in Oppenheimer.
Right.
He's been in things like one of the Terminator movies, one of the Planet of the Apes movies. He's kind of just there all the time, but it's not always as a lead character.
Well, he's the kind of actor they all want to be, which is a working actor,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
he gets roles like you can't believe. And he's working on other things too. So we're not done seeing him yet. But with this, who knows if there couldn't be another series that follows this up about the times now.
Yeah. He did have I wouldn't call it close to a lead role. It was an ensemble cast, but one of my favorite shows of the last few years. He was good in it, and I know it irritated the real life person, but he played Jerry West in Winning Time.
Right.
And I know, like, Jerry West hated it. He hated that show.
Well,
It's like, I wasn't anything like that. It's like, sure, Jerry. Right?
I think if they made a movie of our lives, we'd hate
Yep.
him too.
Probably, I know,
You
but
know?
he was really, really good in Winning Time. So yeah, he's a fun actor. I definitely, when I saw that he's Murdaugh, and I didn't recognize him at first, so he really got into the character. So that I'm gonna check out that series. I
Yeah,
think it'll be pretty good.
don't let it pass you by because I think it is one that we'll hear about in the year-end kind
Mhm.
of sweepstakes of everything.
Sure.
Also, this week in movie theaters, Running Man is back. And you
Oh,
remember,
yeah.
you must have seen Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yeah,
right?
the original one, like, years ago. Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
now
absolutely.
Glen Powell is running, and
Yep.
it'll be interesting to see if he can measure up.
Mhm.
I see him as a light comedian. I don't see him necessarily as an action adventure hero, but I think they all want to be that. So
Right.
that's what happens. But we are in the thick of it. Can I tell you, every day I get notifications that this is available to me, this one is available to me, this one is available to me. And then, do you want to talk to any of these people? So it's a lot. And
Yeah.
this is the heat of the season where the big movies are
Right.
coming out. Yesterday, I talked to the cast of Rental Family,
Okay.
and that's Brendan Fraser's new film
Right.
where he's like this guy who goes and lives with a family in Japan. And it's fascinating how they all kind of perceive this time of the year, award season, as they like to
Right.
call it. And so they're, maybe this could be the one that makes it big for them. Who knows? But
Yeah.
yeah, it's fascinating for me, and a lot of new TV shows too. If you haven't seen some of the new broadcast shows, check them out too, because there's some that are good and some that are
Mhm.
really, really bad.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, it's that time of the year. We started watching just even at home, getting back into Saturday Night Live again. Because that's come out in the last few weeks. Yeah, I'll tell you something interesting with that is now that my kids are in high school, they've actually started watching it a little bit with us, and even will come be like, hey, uh, you know, when we look for a family show to watch, they'll be like, hey, can we watch Saturday Night Live? And I'm like, yeah, sure, we'll throw it on. But what's interesting is, my wife and I will be watching some of these skits and just like what are they doing? None of these things are landing with us. And then my kids are watching it and they're just like rolling over because it's just things that are in uh uh this time that appeals to them.
Right.
The musical acts will come on, and my wife and I are like, we're just hitting the
Who is
fast
that?
forwarder button. Yeah, we have like no idea who these are, and then whoever it was this past week, my girls are like, wait, oh, he's on?
Somber.
Is he gonna play the
Somber.
good song? Yeah,
Yeah.
Somber is like, are is he going to play the good song? Like, I have no idea who this is, and they're just getting jazzed for Somber being on. And they were rolling over when they did the bit this last week where it was
The fake
uh
girls.
well, no, Beauty and Mr. Beast,
Oh
right?
yes, yeah.
Right, because like Mr. Beast, I mean, I know who Mr. Beast is, but that's just as the disclaimer said in the sketch, you know, anybody over 25 isn't going to get this, and for them, they're like, oh, this is so on point, right?
Can I
So
tell you something, Terry?
yeah,
You're
sure,
now old.
I am. I
Yeah,
know, I'm
you
feeling
just
it,
have to let it go, and then you can learn from these younger things. But you go,
right?
well, it may not be funny, but I get it. I get what
Yeah.
you, because that was the way it was when we were younger.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, because my parents, who they watched Saturday Night Live when it really came out in the mid 70s, but by the time it got to Wayne's World, that show had just kind of
It
shot over their
bailed.
heads. Like, what is going on here? We don't know.
This
They
is where
can't
they
figure it
say,
out.
turn that TV down so it's not so loud. We're trying to get to
Right.
sleep, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know what else we've been watching? And this ties into the fall TV season is Stranger Things, because my wife and I watched it from when it came
Oh,
out. But the
yes.
kids were too young for that when it first dropped. So we actually crushed through all 4 seasons starting I want to say like near the end of summer vacation. We started the first episode of season 1, and just last week we caught up and watched the final episode of season 4, and we are pumped. We are pumped for Stranger Things season 5, because we get the first half of the season drops right around Thanksgiving, and then the second half, except for the final episode, drops like right around Christmas, and then I think the final episode is coming out on New Year's Eve with I believe a simultaneous release in the theater. So
Oh, would you go
we're
see it in the theater or would
we
you
are
watch
gonna
it?
we are absolutely, if it's gonna be in the theater, we will absolutely be going on New Year's Eve to go see that movie. Absolutely.
You know, in London or Great Britain, they have special shows just for the holidays. Like
Yeah.
and you think that's a great idea. I wish we had
Hmm.
that because when you're after you've kind of had all the hoopla and
Right.
you've opened the presents and you think, well, what are we going to do now? Do we want to play games and get mad at each other, or are we going to kind of keep the peace? And if we
Hmm.
had some show that we hadn't seen, or it was like the anniversary edition of Doctor Who or whatever it might be, you go, oh, we could sit and watch that. That would be good. So
Yeah.
Stranger Things, here you
Yeah,
come.
so Stranger Things. So yeah, we'll be doing Wicked, we'll be doing Stranger Things, and then of course the new Avatar movie, um, which will be coming out right around Christmas too. But the funny thing, and I probably shouldn't be saying this, but it's just become a bit of a joke in the house, is, you know, like New Year's Eve we'll try to watch a family movie, but on New Year's Eve I also have this tendency to just wanna, you know, like relax and not
Drink.
be stressed out. So yeah, Terry makes a cocktail, right? So and we don't go anywhere on New Year's Eve, so it's not like I have to worry about drinking and driving or anything like that. This is strictly we just stay at home and we'll make some
Right.
snacks and
Right.
maybe make some wings and watch a show and wait for the ball to drop at 11 p.m. Central Time, but and then go to sleep. But so yeah, so I'll start like my sister-in-law a few years ago got me one of these beer things from Costco. It's like a mini, almost like a mini keg of sorts,
Oh,
where it's,
wow.
you know, you can pour yourself quite a few pints, uh, and we were making some drinks a couple years ago too, tied to the White Lotus, you know. So we're having these beverages, and then we flip on whatever the Disney movie is that got released on Disney Plus at the time. So it was I think it was Mulan, right? So
Okay.
we're watching that live action Mulan,
And
and
you had Chinese food.
right, and no, we do Chinese on Christmas Eve because that's a my own family tradition. But uh
That's a Christmas story kind of
right,
tradition.
exactly. But my wife says at one point, it's like I fell asleep right after that scene with the chicken, and then I said to her like there was a chicken, and apparently there was a chicken like 3 minutes into the movie, and I was passed out cold. I don't, if you put that Mulan movie on, I couldn't even tell you what happens. And there was that other one too, not Coco, but it was how it was another one of those Pixar kind of movies that came
Yeah.
out in last year too. I honestly I have no idea what happened. I was just completely I was gone.
Get Dad's keg. It's time.
Dad's had a long year of coaching sports and dealing with things, and this is the one night I get to just kick back and do nothing.
It's a lost night. We don't know what happened to him, but you know, it is
Yep.
more wings for us.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, before we divulge anything else too secretive that doesn't need to get out there, anything else on the horizon we need to know about?
There are a bunch of movies. In fact, I did a number of interviews today and yesterday.
Okay.
That we'll talk about next week. Hopefully, we'll have a little. You'll hear from the people who are involved. But interesting, fascinating, and maybe a little something you'll be interested in. But yep, we're back in the season, so get ready.
There we go. All right. Well, thanks again for listening, and we'll be back again next week with another episode of Streamed and Screened.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next-day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.